My parents told me they had to cancel our family vacation due to financial struggles. I believed them. Then my aunt posted photos online. The whole family was in Hawaii, even my sister's irritating dog. I didn't confront them. Instead, I froze the shared travel account and flagged the hotel reservation. My mom flooded my phone with frantic, all-caps messages. Why is everything blocked? I sent her a single dollar with a note. Months earlier, my dad had called with what sounded like bad news. He said our planned Hawaii trip was scrapped. Money was too tight. They were sorry, he claimed, but it just wasn't possible. I didn't push back. I just agreed over the phone, said I understood. Everyone goes through hard times, right? What they didn't know was how much I was counting on that trip. Not for the cliché of drinking overpriced cocktails by the sea with my sister's noisy dog barking in the background, but because I needed a break. A moment to breathe. My wife had left me months before. Walked out one Sunday after breakfast saying she was pregnant. Not with my child. She didn't cry, didn't say sorry. Just left her coffee cup on the table and a lingering hint of her perfume in the house. I kept it from the family. I didn't want their sympathy, their unsolicited advice, or their uncomfortable silence. So yeah, I was banking on this trip. Not a cure, but a respite. Something familiar, something warm, something to ground me. When Dad called with the money excuse, I didn't argue. I trusted him. I said we'd figure it out later and hung up, thinking at least they were honest. 3 days later, my aunt, who still doesn't understand social media privacy, shared an album titled Hawaiian Paradise. I wasn't tagged. No one bothered to hide it. The first photo. My parents in matching leis, posing outside the hotel I'd booked for us. My sister and her husband clinking glasses by the pool. My brother, who supposedly had a work emergency, grinning on the beach like he was in a travel brochure. Even my sister's dog. Yes, her dog was there, panting in a tiny Hawaiian shirt and sunglasses. I sat in my apartment, still surrounded by my ex's clothes in the closet and her shampoo in the bathroom, staring at my phone in disbelief. I refreshed the album 3 times, thinking it might be a mistake, maybe an old trip. But no, the date was today. Bright smiles and no sign of me, not even a fake "wish Lucas could have come." That's when I remembered the shared travel fund I'd set up. I'd found the hotel deal, pooled the reward points, upgraded their rooms, and linked my card for emergencies. Typical me, helpful, reliable. I opened the app and checked the transactions. Room service bills, spa treatments, a lavish dinner for 6 by the ocean, a private boat tour. My money was bankrolling their tropical escape while I sat here piecing together why they'd lied. I didn't lose my temper, not immediately. I just locked the travel fund. Every linked card was disabled. Then I logged into the hotel's portal and flagged the booking. Not canceled, just flagged. Something about unauthorized charges needing verification, enough to cause a stir. At 2:37 a.m. my phone lit up. Then again and again. First a call from Mom, which I ignored, then a barrage of texts. What's going on? Why is everything blocked? Lucas, answer us. And finally in all caps, shrieking through the screen. Why is everything blocked? What's happening? I didn't respond, didn't type a word. I opened a payment app and sent her $1, just one, with a message. Looks like a great trip. Don't forget who made it happen. Then I silenced my phone, turned off the lights, and lay in bed. I wasn't smug, wasn't satisfied, but for once I wasn't the one played for a fool. By morning, my phone was a battlefield. 13 missed calls, mostly Mom, a few from my sister, one from an unknown number I assumed was the hotel. The texts were a mix of confusion, fake tears, and accusations. Everything's being declined. Did you tamper with something? We can't pay for anything, it's humiliating. Then, Lucas, what's going on? And finally, Mom in all caps, why would you do this to us? I left them unread. I knew they'd start rallying relatives, spinning their story before the truth could emerge. Sure enough, by noon, my cousin Ellie texted. She never cared for our family trips, said they felt like a performance. She sent a screenshot of a family chat I wasn't in. Their mom claimed I'd lost it since my divorce, probably needed therapy, said I'd sabotaged their vacation out of spite for being excluded. They had no idea you were this unstable, she wrote. I stared at that word, unstable, for a full minute. As if I hadn't held my life together while it fell apart. As if I hadn't offered to cover part of the trip when Dad hinted at financial strain. As if I hadn't stayed silent when my wife left, pregnant with another man's child. Unstable. That word ignited something deeper than anger, disgust. They didn't just lie, they knew what they were doing. They cut me out, enjoyed the trip I planned, and when caught, painted me as the villain. That's when I decided freezing the fund wasn't enough. I flagged every account tied to my rewards program, reported fraud, unauthorized use. The airline miles gone. The car rental blocked. The room upgrades I'd paid for reversed. Anything with my name on it, locked. I knew it'd leave them stranded on the island, but I was done caring. That night, I sent one last message, a screenshot of their chat calling me unstable with a caption, "Keep talking." Then I blocked Mom's number. When they returned, it was silence. No apologies, no explanations, just nothing. Like if they stayed quiet, it'd all vanish. But 2 days later, Uncle Ray called, asking if I was okay, urging me to patch things up with Mom. He said she was telling everyone I'd ruined the trip out of jealousy over my sister's success and happiness. That made me laugh. I let him talk, thanked him for checking in, and hung up. Then I got in my car. No text, no warning. Drove the 40 minutes to their house, parked, and walked in like I still had a key, which I did but vowed never to use again after that day. They looked stunned. Mid-dinner, my sister there too, the air grew heavy as I stood in the doorway. I didn't yell, didn't ask how they were, I just said, "You lied. You took the trip I planned, paid for, and offered to share. You said you couldn't afford it. Then you smeared me to everyone when I found out. Why?" No one spoke. Dad stared at his plate. Mom tried her usual guilt trip, muttering, "You don't understand, it wasn't like that." I cut her off. I said what I needed to, told them they'd never see another penny from me. The shared fund closed. The backup card they used for emergencies deactivated. The subscriptions, the insurance, the dental plan under my work coverage canceled. "You made your choice," I said. "Now I'm making mine." I turned and left. No one followed. I expected fallout, gossip, maybe a half-hearted apology to smooth things over. Instead, I got silence. Nothing. No texts, no calls, no emails, like they thought ignoring it would make me come crawling back, as I always did when things got tense. The only noise was voicemails from relatives. Aunt Carol left a long one about how hurtful it was that I'd abandoned family. Uncle Ray lectured about swallowing pride for the greater good. Cousin Josh said he didn't want to pick sides but mentioned Mom had been crying a lot. Not one asked my side. They'd all bought Mom's story, the one where I was unstable, jealous, broken. They echoed her narrative word for word. No one remembered I'd offered to help when they claimed they were broke. That I'd planned every detail down to their preferred pillows. That I was lied to, excluded, and blamed. So I stopped responding. I left the family chat. Deleted their birthdays from my calendar. Closed the joint account from college days. Removed their numbers from my favorites and cut my name from their spare phone line. Piece by piece, I dismantled the ties that kept their lives running smoothly. But the silence didn't last. One morning, Ellie called again, asked if I had time to talk. Her tone felt off, so I listened. She said she had news I wouldn't like. She was at my parents' last night. Mom had too much wine and started venting. Said I was spiraling since the divorce, possibly dangerous. Claimed I'd stolen from the trip and tried to ruin it out of bitterness. I went quiet. Ellie sensed it hit hard and added, "I know it's not true, but people believe her, Lucas. She's got them convinced." I thanked her and hung up. Something in me shut down, a final switch. I defended them too often. Given too many chances. Paid too many bills. Sat through too many thankless dinners pretending everything was fine. I told myself family meant loyalty, but I finally saw it. Family doesn't mean letting people walk over you just because you're related. It doesn't mean swallowing the pain they cause. The next day, I called a lawyer. Had them draft a letter removing my name from any legal or financial ties to my parents. Health proxies, accounts, car signatures, everything. I mailed it to their house with tracking. They signed for it 2 days later. I heard nothing after, not for a while. 2 weeks after the letter, still no word. No calls, no texts. No passive-aggressive group messages about praying for the lost. Dead quiet. It felt good. I'd braced for drama, more lies, a tearful plea, but they gave me nothing. I started sleeping better. Not just lying there, but real sleep. I hit the gym again, started journaling, even met up with an old friend for dinner, the first time I'd laughed in ages. Things felt okay. Then a voicemail came, blocked number. The transcription caught enough to stop me cold. It was Dad. His voice was flat, almost mechanical, but not angry. He said he got the letter, understood it. Then, mid-message, he paused and said something I never expected. "Lucas, your mom's not okay." I thought he meant emotionally, guilt, maybe regret, but he kept going. Said she'd been forgetting things for months, missing appointments, mixing up names, places. She told someone I'd moved across the country. Twice. Told my aunt she hadn't seen me in a year, though I was at their house 3 weeks prior. He said he kept it quiet because she didn't want people knowing, didn't want to be seen differently, and he didn't want to face it. Denial, basically. He said she'd grown paranoid, confused, that she'd rewritten the whole vacation in her head. Decided I wasn't part of the family anymore, that I wouldn't come even if asked. And he went along with it, because it was easier than fighting her. That voicemail shook me more than anything. I sat on my couch, gripping the phone like it might burn me. If he was telling the truth, this wasn't just betrayal. It was a slow unraveling no one had the courage to name. I recalled odd moments from the past year. Her calling me by my cousin's name mid-conversation. Asking about my dog, dead for nearly a decade. But even if something was wrong, why the lies? Why drag my name through the dirt? Why make me the scapegoat for something they were too ashamed to face? I didn't call back. That same day, Ellie texted again, unaware of the voicemail. She wrote, "Hey, did you reactivate the old emergency card? Your dad's using it again?" That stopped me. I hadn't touched that card in years, thought it was long expired. But I checked the account and there it was active, and recently used. New charges. $317 at a pharmacy, $142 at a medical supply store, $600 to something called Neuro Care Solutions. They were using it for her tests, medications, treatment. All hidden behind an account they thought I wouldn't notice. Maybe they kept it active for emergencies. Maybe they meant to tell me and forgot. Or maybe they never planned to, hoping I'd overlook it. I stared challengingly at the charges, and a strange calm settled in. Not anger, not like before, emptiness, like the part of me that cared had been hollowed out. They lied about the trip. Lied to my face, lied to everyone about me. And now they were still leaning on me, dipping into an account they thought I'd forgotten, funding care they never bothered to mention. That night, I didn't sleep. I paced my apartment, watching the city lights flicker, wondering when I stopped being a son and became a safety net. The next morning, I called the bank, told them to shut down the emergency card. No explanation, no justification. I hung up and sent Dad one text. "The card's done, don't contact me again." Then I blocked his number. 3 days passed without a sound. No calls, no texts, no desperate emails from Dad begging to explain, nothing. Then the voicemail started, not from them, those were blocked, but from others. A slow trickle at first. Aunt Carol again with her peacemaker tone. "Lucas, I don't know what's going on, but your parents are struggling. Your mom's been through so much, please call them." Then my sister left one, unexpected. Said Dad broke down in a clinic parking lot when the pharmacy rejected their card for the 3rd time. Said he sat in the car with Mom for over an hour while she asked why they were there, confused about needing medicine at all. Then she said something that hit hard. "They're saying you abandoned them." That word, abandoned, cut deep. That was their story now, not that I was lied to, excluded, manipulated, and used. No, I was the one who turned his back on family in their hour of need. I was the villain. Aunt Carol tried guilting me again in another message. "Lucas, they're still your parents. They're old, they're scared, they don't know what they're doing." But they did. They always did. They knew what they were doing when they took that trip, when they lied, when they used my money, when they let everyone think I was unstable. They knew. The final blow came the next week. A letter arrived, handwritten. No return address, but the handwriting was unmistakable. Mom's. It started warm, too warm, talking about how proud she was of the man I'd become. How she missed the old days, how she didn't understand why things got so messy. Then it shifted. She said she was hurt deeply. That she didn't know who I was anymore, that family is everything. And if I couldn't see that, maybe I was the one who needed help. She said she forgave me, that she was praying for me. That God sees what's in our hearts. I read that line twice. She forgave me. No mention of their actions, no accountability, just a careful rewrite where I was the problem. It wasn't subtle. It was a calculated move to pull me back with guilt. I folded the letter and tucked it in a drawer. Not to keep it, just to remember how even kindness can be a lie when it's built on manipulation. That night, I sat with that thought for hours. About kindness, about how I'd always shown up, helped out, handled the details, cleaned up the messes no one else wanted. I never asked for anything but honesty and respect, and even that was too much. The next morning, I called the family lawyer, had him remove my name from every document tying me to their household. Emergency contacts, medical forms, power of attorney, all gone. He paused before hanging up and asked, "Are you sure?" "Yes," I said, "I'm sure." Because if you're always the one giving, they don't learn when they take, they just learn you'll let them. And I was done letting them. It's been 6 months since the letter, since the last call. Since I cut off the final card, removed my name, and stepped out of the quiet chaos I'd lived in too long. They haven't reached out again. I think they finally got it, or maybe they're just tired of rewriting the narrative. Family gossip spreads fast. I'm sure half of them think I'm a heartless son who ditched his parents in their time of need. The other half just stay out of it. I don't blame them. I used to do the same, smile, nod, avoid the drama. But I'm done with that role. What surprises me is how calm it feels to not carry their burden anymore. My apartment's quieter, sure. Holidays are strange. I skipped Thanksgiving, didn't send Christmas cards. No one visited. And for the first time, I didn't feel I owed anyone an explanation. Ellie still checks in. She gets it. She saw how things were. She told me recently that my sister's been saying I cut them off over a vacation. That's their story now, that I threw a fit because I wasn't invited. That I burned years of family ties over a missed week in the sun. Let them think it. I don't defend myself anymore, not to them. Last week an envelope arrived, no return address. Inside was a photo, a cheap resort snapshot. Mom, Dad, sister, brother-in-law, and that damn dog all smiling by the ocean. On the back in Mom's handwriting, "We still love you." I burned it, didn't hesitate. Lit a match, watched it curl, and tossed it in the sink. Because love without truth isn't love, it's control. And I finally saw it. I spent too long thinking family meant duty just because of blood. That being a good son meant showing up, paying bills, taking the hits. But kindness without limits isn't noble, it's surrender. And the more I gave, the more they expected. No one's dipping into my accounts anymore. No one's rewriting history in secret chats. No one's gaslighting me into thinking their betrayal was my fault. I'm not waiting for apologies. I'm not watching my phone. I'm not hoping someone wakes up and sees what they did. I've closed that book. No, burned it. The truth is, I'm not ready to keep ties with people who only value me when I'm quiet. And I finally get that walking away isn't weak. It's the strongest thing I've done. I thought it was over. After everything, cutting them off legally, financially, emotionally, I figured they'd respect my boundaries. I wasn't looking for closure, just distance, peace. And I had it for a while. Then, 2 months ago, I applied for a new apartment. Nicer place, better neighborhood, a quiet building with a gym and pre-installed blackout shades. I was ready to move forward in every sense. But the leasing office flagged an issue during the background check. Not my credit, not my job. My emergency contact. It had been changed to my mother without my permission. I stared at the email for 5 minutes, frozen. The only way that could have happened was through my old healthcare portal, one I hadn't used since I dropped them from my coverage. I logged in and there it was, accessed from an IP address in my hometown. Their address. Somehow they'd used an old password. Somehow they thought they still had a claim. And they'd gone in, altered my records like they could still say, "We're part of your life, like it or not." I was livid. It wasn't just a boundary crossed. It was a deliberate attempt to stay tethered. To sneak back in through a backdoor. I didn't call, didn't text. I got in my car, pulled into their driveway. Dad was in the garage, looked surprised, tried to act casual. I didn't let him, walked past straight into the house. Mom was in the kitchen, smiled like nothing was wrong. I set the printed email on the counter, didn't speak. She glanced at it, then at me and said, "We just thought." I stopped her. "You thought wrong. You don't get to slide back into my life, not legally, not online, not emotionally. You're done." Dad stepped in, tried to calm things, started muttering about how they were just worried. I asked one question. "Would you be okay if I listed myself as your medical proxy without asking?" Silence. I took their silence as clarity, but I wasn't done. I looked around the house, the one I grew up in, the one I helped pay for during their hard times, and said, "Next time you pull something like this, I won't come with papers, I'll come with police." That hit home. I left without waiting for a reply. In the car, I wiped every login they might have had, changed every password I could think of, and called the leasing office to correct the record. They were shocked but cooperative. After that, I did what I should have done years ago. I changed my last name. Not a big change, just took my middle name, something distinct. Something that wasn't theirs. That was the final tie, and this time I made sure they couldn't reattach it. They had their chances. They used them to manipulate, take, lie, and twist the truth. And when I walked away, they tried to slip back in through a crack. Now the crack's sealed for good. I'm not looking back again. My thoughts on the story. This story is a raw, emotional exploration of betrayal, boundaries, and the painful process of reclaiming one's autonomy. Lucas's actions, freezing accounts, cutting ties, and ultimately changing his name, reflect a deep need to protect himself from a family that repeatedly exploited his trust and generosity. His response was measured at first, but as the lies and manipulation piled up, his escalation feels justified. The family's deceit, especially excluding him from a trip he planned and funded, is a profound betrayal, compounded by their attempts to rewrite the narrative and paint him as the villain. However, the revelation about his mother's potential cognitive decline adds a layer of complexity. It raises questions about whether her actions were entirely malicious or influenced by her condition, though it doesn't excuse the family's collective decision to lie and use Lucas's resources. His father's complicity in particular stands out as a failure to take responsibility, choosing denial over honesty. Lucas's choice to cut contact completely, while harsh, seems like the only way he could break free from a cycle of manipulation and guilt-tripping. From another perspective, some might argue Lucas could have sought clarity about his mother's health before severing ties so definitively. Families are messy, and cognitive issues can explain erratic behavior. But this view overlooks the cumulative damage, years of being taken for granted, lied to, and scapegoated. Lucas's decision to prioritize his mental health and peace over familial duty is a powerful statement about self-respect. The final act of changing his name symbolizes a complete rebirth, severing not just legal ties, but the emotional weight of a family that failed him. What makes this story resonate is its unflinching portrayal of how family can sometimes be the source of the deepest wounds, and how walking away, though painful, can be an act of strength. Lucas's journey from betrayal to liberation is both heartbreaking and empowering, a reminder that loyalty should never come at the cost of one's dignity.